So, hi all, welcome to today's Sogeti Labs Tech Talk on Incubator Business 2022. So, today we have Sergio, Heinz, and Trent who will be taking us through this webinar. So, before we proceed with the interesting episode of what incubator is all about and how you could leverage it in your respective uh, businesses, here's the short introduction about each one of them. Sergio is the director in innovation group in US and is the Sogeti Labs USA country lead as well, who is driving this particular incubator business GTM, working with the customers, partners, and Capgemini ecosystem to develop the scalable innovation capabilities within the enterprise. We have Heinz, who is the senior manager and part of Sogeti Labs USA core innovation team, who has led the development of the incubator business enterprise innovation platform. He is also the primary developer for the incubator business mobile application that provides the innovation teams fast access to the pipelines. Along with them, we have Trent Walker, wherein Trent leads the partner management for PP5 in US. He also helps system integrators delivery market leading business performance and technology to capture new market opportunities by building on this platform. He has proven success in driving efficiency and revenue growth for global companies and entrepreneurial startups. So over to all of you to take us through this journey and let us know more about incubator business and how we could use this or scale this up in our innovation.
Thank you, Deepika, for that introduction. This is our agenda for today. We're going to be opening with some mega trends just to understand some context before we dive into the new operating model and the platform. And we will finish off with some demos to give you a preview of the functionality that's available in Incubator Business to help you achieve innovation. And there's a Mentimeter that we'll be using. There's the code there. Actually, that might be the wrong code, but the code should have been sent out, I believe. So. So Heinz, go ahead.
Yep. So Sergio, we'd like to start it off by asking you a question. Can you tell us some of the mega trends that businesses are facing in the innovation space?
Yeah, sure. So CXOs are facing a lot of ambiguity, uncertainty.
Sergio, in the presentation, are you sharing that? There you go.
There we go.
Yep. Yes. So what are some of those mega trends that businesses are facing around the innovation space?
Yeah, so as I was saying, that CXOs are facing a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity, having to adapt really fast. So there are three major challenge areas around people, process, and data. I think being able to harness all those three things to really help address the innovation challenges. I think CXOs are looking for new ways of doing things, new ways of delivering value. So I think that's going to be really key. So I think that I think that we'll look at what some of the ways that CXOs are actually looking to solve those problems, and we'll go ahead and I'll start the first Mentimeter question, Heinz.
Yep. So we'd like to kick that question kind of over to the audience. So the first Mentimeter question is, what are the biggest challenges to making innovation a success? And the Mentimeter code is up at the top there, if y'all need it. Like, give people a minute to get logged in.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're starting to see some responses come in. Slow enterprise processes, continuity, people. I think people is definitely a big one.
Yeah.
That we see all over the place. So we'll go ahead and continue. Actually, we're seeing more come in now. Yeah, definitely limitation on creativity, lack of focus. Yeah, these are really great.
Looks like people is a pretty big one.
Definitely.
Mindset. Yep. I think we'll cover that here in a little bit.
So one of the things that's happening within the enterprise is that there's an evolution going on with how technology is being used to deliver value. We're going from more of a kind of operations, value preservation way of doing things to a more creative exploration mode, where there's this great need to do experimentation to deliver new value. And I think this is one of the things that a lot of enterprises struggle with is how do you do not just one, but actually both? Because you actually need to do it both at the same time. And I think that's one of the challenges with addressing how do you support the needs of the people within your enterprise to be able to take on this challenge.
Yep. And so going back to kind of mindset, Sergio, is there a shift in the mindsets of people that are needed for innovation?
Yes, absolutely. So to start the evolution, I think that design is becoming more core, more the central focus of how this evolution happens. So instead of really focusing on more analytical way of looking at things, creativity is playing a much more significant role in how people look at innovation. The ability to not only look at what the solution might be, but really understanding the problem and really diving into, immersing into what the problem space is, and being able to design the problem, and then identify disruptive ways to create new experiences and new value. So I think that's going to be really key. And I think that's going to be, something that enterprises and executives are looking for. And we think we have a new way of doing this and achieving this at the enterprise scale. Okay.
Yep. And so we'd like to get the audience's input on this for the second Mentimeter question. And so the question is, what percentage of executives feel innovation labs are unaligned?
So we have 4 choices: 10, 20%, 50%, 90%. And this is based actually on some research by Capgemini Research Institute of close to 300 enterprises. They interviewed, surveyed executives to feel how their investments in innovation labs were turning out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Mostly 50%.
Yeah, I think those are good points. So basically, the research shows that the actual number of executives that feel that innovation is on the line is actually 90%. And there's so much other interesting statistics that were identified, such as the 17%, only 17% saw innovation happening outside the innovation center. And there were some other really trouble spots of how the labs actually could keep up and mature to keep up with the pace of change and innovation that's needed. And I think one of the things that the executives are realizing is that technology alone is really not enough. You definitely need to change or address the way people will actually look at innovation, and go beyond relying on specific individual efforts or innovation, what we call innovation theater, where kind of doing things for show, but not really necessarily producing results. So I think the executives are really looking at that as a way to begin understanding what the real problem is. It's okay.
Yep. And so that brings us to our third Mentimeter question for the audience. What are some of the barriers to developing a culture of innovation? Yeah, I think that's a good one. Understanding the need.
Yeah, these are all really good, actually. Yeah, mindset is another word that keeps popping up, and I think that's a great observation.
Yeah, mindset and people.
Right, because technology is only kind of part of the equation. I think the people's mindset is also really key. So awesome. Yeah, these are awesome observations on the barriers to developing a culture of innovation.
Yeah, perception, management, cost. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things we want to introduce today is a new model for enterprise innovation. Basically, it's a new way of looking at innovation. And what we want to introduce is this idea of the innovation stack. It's a concept by Steve Blank. He's a researcher at Stanford. He's basically one of the leading innovation entrepreneurship thought leaders in Silicon Valley and Stanford. Basically, the idea is that you want to start with the individual to empower them and to begin to democratize like the innovation, but you also want to empower them with the ability to do activities that instill those innovation mindsets and techniques to help them begin performing in a new way, to create value in using the innovation mindset. But beyond that, there's a scalability problem. How do you scale innovation? I think you have to look at how do you create teams, or enable teams to be able to perform together so that they can create value in a very highly collaborative, high touch and high velocity way. And I think that's where the idea of a team-based innovation platforms comes into play. And then beyond that, the platform to create an impact has to be an operational activity where it becomes part of the fabric of the enterprise. It can't be closed off, behind four walls, and to make it part of the operational activity for a business. And this is how you deliver real value faster from the innovation that's taking place. And also more importantly is that once the innovation begins to deliver values, how do you transfer that back to the core and have that scalability and the value being able to contribute to the business. So I think that's a good sort of summary of what the new operating model is. We'll dive into some more details as we go forward here. Okay, Heinz.
Yep. And so before we dive into more details, we have a fourth Mentimeter question for everybody. I'd like to get y'all's opinion on how you approach design in your innovation projects.
Rapid prototyping, great, definitely. More creativity. Looks like we just can't get enough of creativity. So I think that's definitely a good sign for sure. Conversation with users, definitely. An open mind. Yeah, these are all really great. I think that's one of the things that a lot of enterprises struggle with is, how do you begin to structure the creative kind of forces within the enterprise? And so what Thinkubator provides is a framework for developing those innovation mindsets. And part of the core framework is we incorporated design thinking into the flow for the innovation. And design thinking is a proven way to deliver value, and begins to address what are some of the human-centered ways of creative problem solving. And I think this is something that is very effective, and we've actually used this on some of our biggest projects, most successful projects. I think to be able to deliver this, I think one thing to consider is how do you get not only individuals to be able to think about how to use design thinking, but how do you get entire teams to use design thinking? And I think that's definitely one of the things that Thinkubator Business strives for, is to help teams, entire teams, to be able to use design thinking in the innovation flow, so you can instill those mindsets that create that level of collaboration and creation in the innovation. And so another aspect that the Thinkubator Business provides is innovation management, because one of the things to realize is that creativity alone is not enough to deliver real value. So I think that innovation management is a key aspect of the flow. And by innovation management, what we mean are things like vision design, product market fit, business model design, scaling strategy. These are the kind of business aspects of innovation that you want to help the creative flow to be aligned to be able to deliver innovation with impact. And I think that that's one thing that Thinkubator Business does in a kind of a unique way, is to combine the two flows and to be able to help the teams performing the different activities in the different components of the flow, to be able to share information, key information that feeds into the flow as the flow progresses, so that as the flow progresses, that information is available to keep the innovation impact intact. And so that when at the end of the day, when the product or service is delivered, that product service is going to be able to scale aligned with the enterprise's growth strategy. Okay, Heinz.
Yeah, I think that's a really important part of this. So that brings us to our fifth and final Mentimeter question. So the question is, which innovation management activity is most important for business success?
Visions is coming up big, understandably so.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, product market fit is also really, really key. So product market fit is so key, not only to just the identifying the viability of a particular idea, but also in your scaling strategy. One of the things that is interesting about product market fit is helps you identify potential opportunities that are sort of side by side your initial vision or concept. But yeah, vision is definitely really important. Okay, so thank you all for participating in those Mentimeter questions. We're always really interested in the feedback and ideas and concepts that that we hear from our customers and partners as well. So it's always good to get that additional perspective.
So Sergio, can you go through some of the innovation platform services in Thinkivator Business 2022?
Absolutely. So, so one of the things that we're introducing into Thinkivator Business is this concept of deep design, and this is about leveraging data in the innovation flow. As you know, we've been talking about people and process. I think data is also really key. So one of the things that we are providing in the Thinkivator Business platform is the ability to do what we call deep design. And deep design is about discovering patterns and making meaning of the data. You know, as you can imagine, enterprises have a ton of data. They don't really know what's there, what value can be extracted. And the idea behind deep design is to develop really deep insights to begin understanding what are the possibilities, what are the opportunities that you know, are available from the data, and being able to apply techniques to accelerate identifying what those opportunities are. So I think that having the ability to take structured and unstructured volumes of data and to be able to perform or drive design thinking from that data, I think you end up with much more compelling product, services, and experiences through deep design. And then we also have accelerated prototyping, which is, I think, another major sort of area that slows down innovation, is the ability to do experimentation on a prototype concept, to be able to get something tangible where you can see the results of the output of the design activities, to be able to test that and see what the prototype is, how it performs. And this doesn't necessarily apply only to, you know, things with a user interface. It could be a distributed system, or it could be, you know, an IoT solution, things like that. So I think the ability to power iterations using what we refer to as a software factory approach, I think it's a kind of an innovative way to accelerate prototyping. The ability to quickly get to a point where you can model what the prototype is needing to do based on the design, and produce variants that allow you to test and kind of tweak what the prototype is doing without having to do any sort of major development or rewrite efforts to have that prototype better closely aligned to what the real design and the real opportunity is. So one of the, so this is the slide that shows the entire platform, and it's not a, you know, all or nothing picture. One way to think of thinking about a business, it's a tool set, and how you use this tool set depends on, you know, what the needs of your customers are, what are the specific problems and pain points that your customers are facing, and then using the tool set in thinking of a business in the platform to be able to meet those challenges for your customers. And I think that that's one of the great things about this platform, is that it's very flexible. So you could start off with, you know, some workshops to get people sort of introduced and help them discover, you know, the mindsets and techniques that are available. And then you can scale that all the way up to full, you know, operational deployment within the enterprise, using the platform services in Thinking Your Better Business. And, you know, one of the things I would like to know is that we also work together with the Applied Innovation Exchange to help provide these services to customers. So that way, you know, I think the AIEs are a great way to bring customers together and really have a focused on how to use Think Your Better Business within the enterprise, so they can go back to their business and have a real clear and great understanding of how this Think Your Better Business platform can help them address the challenges of innovation and achieve value that they're looking for. And so we'll start off with a quick tour, and we're going to start off with the Flow Engine. It's a core piece of the platform. The Flow Engine, it's kind of based on, you know, some positive psychology. If you think about, you know, the creative flow, and what's involved there. So, going back to the idea of how do you scale that flow? And I think that the Flow Engine is a great way to do that. It basically embeds, integrates those mindsets that we spoke about, the design thinking and also the innovation management streams. So that allows the teams to collaborate, connect together using this orchestrator to drive the innovation flow forward. And it's very easy to use. It is a no-code type solution, so you can deploy it really easily and very quickly to achieve a great deal of automation for your innovation processes to help empower teams to connect and get together and take on a new innovation project pretty quickly.
Appreciate it, Sergio. So at this point, I'd like to bring in Trent Walker to the conversation. Mr. Walker's from Pipefy, and he's going to go into more detail around the platform that powers the Flow Engine, and specifically touching on how Pipefy supports innovation velocity, scalability, and sustainability. So Mr. Walker, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Heinz. Thanks, Sergio. Before I get started, as we go through, I'm going to talk about the platform itself, about the BPA space, which is where Pipefy fits, and then we'll bring that into how Pipefy fits into the Thinkubator platform. But before I get started, I want to start with why Pipefy was built and why we began to go to market with the solution. What we found was there were problems across multiple organizations or multiple teams within an organization, starting with the CIO organization within mid-market enterprise organizations. And they're really struggling with keeping up with the technology needs and fast iteration technology needs of different departments. Very good at their job, but spending a lot of their time focusing on the main platforms within organizations, the larger technology structure like ERPs and infrastructures and things like that. And so there was this emerging kind of shadow IT across organizations. And then if you go down into the business owners themselves, using an example of the finance organization, the VPs, the heads of finance organizations were experiencing lack of coordination that was creating delays in deliverables, resulting in frustration for internal customers. They were having problems onboarding their vendors. Oftentimes, vendors were operating on the procurement side outside of contracts, so contracts weren't being signed because of the breakdown in the process flows and connectivity of the systems. And they were looking to IT to solve those problems, but because of the backlog we talked about earlier and prioritizations, those problems weren't really being solved in a timely manner for those teams. And then as you got down to the doer levels, they were experiencing situations where they couldn't see all of their activity out of a single portal. They were getting lost in email attachments and what we call the long tail pieces of the process. So at a more junior level in organizations, they were actually beginning to look for third-party applications to solve those problems that were not involving IT. So Pipefy came and decided to look at, again, these long tail pieces outside of the core systems. So as we move to the next slide, we see, okay, we can, Heinz, you want to move on, or Sergio, want to move on here? So as we began to look at the BPO space, and I want to spend a bit of time talking about the BPA spaces in general, and how we see the technology fabric within organizations. Most organizations likely have point solutions and their core systems in place. And then as you move towards the digital journey or the hyper-automation space, they begin to put things like RPA solutions in place to handle that task automation. But BPA is more concerned with filling the gaps between these solutions and the process orchestration itself and smart automation within the process to improve collaboration, connectivity, and it all is built on a low-code technology, which allows us a quick speed to market and fast iteration. We integrate any of these existing tools utilizing our integration capabilities and incorporating your existing tool set. The result of the business process automation is cohesive workflows across and with existing technologies, but more fully optimized measurables and driving agility within your departments and teams. Pipefy really is on the cutting edge of what we consider the work management space, and BPA is the future of this. As we move, we're really driving towards improved collaboration, and this is the people side that has come up a lot. So how do we improve the collaboration across teams, cross-functionally, and give people insight into their daily work? On the process side, that's where the core of the platform is. How do we orchestrate, govern, and control that process? And then connecting that technology and that fragmented technology ecosystem, all driving towards increased automation, systemized collaboration, and data and cross-functional connectivity. Okay. So this when we look at the platform, I want to give you a sense of what's important to us. Important to us is making sure the platform is easy enough for the business owner to use, but secure enough to pass the IT sniff test. Some of the highlights here, the platform's based on two-factor authentication. It integrates with LDAP, with Azure LDAP. From a top-level perspective, when we look at product security, network and application security, as well as some of the certifications in place on the platform to ensure we are compliant. All the storage and data hosting is with AWS. We do have robust disaster and recovery failover in place. At any point, you can look back at not only operational audit logs, but also technology audit logs and monitoring. We have scheduled backups so information is not lost, and the entire platform is encrypted at 256-bit. We do periodic and pretty regular pen testing and vulnerability testing, and the platform is certified by a third party for SOC 2 and ISO. However, because of the low-code nature, it also allows business owners to manipulate and quickly iterate within the process, and innovation centers to quickly adapt and move things around within the platform and actually build applications for their teams in a swift way. Okay, so as we move on to looking at what is really the nature of the technology and what is it aimed to accomplish. So as we build from left to right here, everything starts with an intake from either an external system, another application, or a web form for those intakes to come into the pipe. Once the information is in, it's about really orchestrating that workflow, which you can visualize in a Kanban board or a flow view. The process is routed automatically to the appropriate approvers, stakeholders, and process managers. Automation communication is kicked off, sent out to increase that collaboration, and the data is captured throughout the entire process and synced back to whatever necessary systems of record. Throughout the process, and once the flow is completed, full visualization of the process is available in reports and dashboards or in external systems. And the baseline of the dashboard is to manage SLAs, remove bottlenecks, and ensure things continue to move through the process while collaborating and coordinating across multiple teams and multiple stakeholders. Okay, so I want to give you a picture of the current organizations we work with and just the scalability of the platform. Pipefy itself, you'd be hard pressed to find any industry where Pipefy is not working with a top tier or Fortune 500 company. We have a great partnership with Capgemini, where we're heavily involved in their BPO space. Right now, there's 31 active projects running with Capgemini, about 1,000 users on the platform through that BPO structure, and really stretching across multiple process areas because we are a horizontal platform, and those includes order to cash, procure to pay, vendor and customer record, employee onboarding. And really the idea is to allow this repeatable and structured process within the Capgemini BPO structure. Okay. This visualization really is about showing the connectivity of the platform and and the automation rules, approval flows, process connections, and really that SLA management. So again, moving from left to right, you have inputs coming in, and that can be from structured or unstructured sources. A lot of the way we work with Capgemini today is through general mailbox structure, where emails are coming in and they're using that to move the data into a flow so that the teams can work. But again, it can come from other systems, ERPs, vertical applications, and then the platform connects into other automation technologies like capture and discovery, Abby, data mining, and then RPA solutions for really that heavy task automation, all with a push out on an output on the other side, whether that's syncing the data back based on work that's happened within the platform, or delivering things through other third-party applications like a DocuSign, which then can be signed and then returned back to the platform, and managing that approval flow for all of those pieces. So you can see a DocuSign going to legal for approval, and then ultimately the platform sending it out, and all those signatures coming back. And again, syncing all the data back to the systems of record. So how does this fit into the innovation process flow management? What we've aimed to do within the ThinkUbeter platform, and Sergio and his team have done an incredible job with this, and that is connecting all of the pieces throughout the innovation cycle into an easy to follow flow and structured and governed process. Really reaching towards an accelerated innovation lifecycle, and improving the collaboration across teams. In this way, the same benefits of acceleration of the business process owners can now be translated into innovation acceleration and collaboration, which improves the speed to market and greater customer satisfaction.
Absolutely, Trent. Yeah, thank you.
I'll turn it back over to Sergio.
Yeah, thank you for that great overview. And I think this is a way to get innovation out of the lab and into the operational fabric of the enterprise. And having Pipefy as a platform to power the flow engine, it has been a key enabler for us to be able to deliver this key component in the ThinkUbeter business platform. And I think the flexibility and the ease of use and the management and some of the tracking capabilities, I think are going to be a great use as you enable your innovation process flows to drive design and also the innovation management streams. So I'm going to take you on a quick tour of the rest of the platform components. I think we're going to have some time for some demos here to kind of give you a sense of what these components look like. We have a ThinkUbeter Mobile, which is basically a mobile application that runs on Android and iOS, that integrates with the Flow engine. So everything you saw Trent showing the pictures that he had as are basically available within the ThinkUbeter mobile application. So one of the examples is that we'll show is how you can actually integrate to see the pipelines, what's going on in the pipeline, the pipelines that you're involved with. Where's the design for a particular concept, and so forth. So I think it really accelerates, the entire, the flow, the creative flow that we talked about earlier, and scaling that massively across the enterprise. And then one of the things that we do leverage on is Microsoft Teams for the virtual teaming. I think Teams is a great platform. I think we have ways to integrate for delivering different activities within ThinkUbeter business, such as some of the design and collaboration activities that take place during the flow. When you're doing perhaps like ideation, or you're trying to define a point of view, things like that. Teams is a great way or workspace to help teams kind of just get a little bit more organized and have that very, very familiar interface to work within. And then we also have a way to accelerate leveraging AI machine learning for designing innovative products and services using what we went over with earlier, the deep design concept of really diving deep into the data and extracting those insights. And so we have partnered with 890 by Capgemini, and 890 is an MLOps accelerator that provides a portal interface to allow you to reuse to drive machine learning experiments, design, and reuse across the enterprise. So you can tap into that machine learning knowledge to help you innovate faster and better to create more innovative products and services. So we'll see a quick demo of this in a bit. And we're also partnering with Symphony AI to deliver another level of this deep design capability. And they have an interesting, really innovative approach for using topological data analysis to begin, just start by looking at the shape of data and then identifying what those patterns are. What is the data trying to tell you, as opposed to you trying to look for something in the data. The data speaks. And I think that Symphony AI has a great tool to allow you to begin to have that understanding right from the get-go of just, beginning to see what the data is trying to say, so you can drill deep and find those deep insights much, much faster. And I think one thing that this particular platform provides, it helps democratize innovation, because it surfaces those capabilities not only to data scientists but also business people, to help them get a direct connection with the data. And we'll be having actually another tech talk that we'll dive into this. We'll be having Symphony AI actually come in and do some really deep demos to show you the platform capabilities. Then we also have Fabrica, which is our prototype factory, what we call prototype factory. And basically what it is, it's a visual modeling way of producing a prototype so that you can generate artifacts for that prototype. So this could involve things like code, configuration, even documentation. It's all template driven. It uses a template-based engine that is driven by the model, and you can really create any sort of model that you can that you need to. For example, you may have a model that you want to develop for an IoT type system, or a mobile application, or a typical 3-tier type of system. Flexible DSL, domain-specific language technology, gives those capabilities. And then finally, we have MLP analytics, which is basically finding a way to get a view into how effective is the innovation, and providing a way to validate the design and the innovation management aspects, so you can start getting feedback and visualize that feedback, because this will help you identify where the areas of improvements are, and then also identify opportunities for achieving additional scalability. And actually, our partner Symphony AI also has some capabilities that may also be leveraged in this particular area of the platform, and the partner will be sort of speaking to that, of how analytics can be achieved using their platform. But our core technology is Power BI from Microsoft to deliver the dashboard visualizations. So we're now going to go over some just real quick demos, just to give you a sense of what the platform kind of looks and feels like. Kind of take it for a quick test run. This is the Flow engine, and as you can see, as Trent was saying, is you come in through an entry point, and here we're basically capturing a design challenge to begin an innovation flow, and you can see all the data that's associated with the flow. For example, design artifacts, the templates, and part of the techniques and the Think Better business mindsets. And you can see that in line. So as the flow progresses, you can see that information captured, so that the team has that immediate access to that information without having to worry about the technology to get to that information. And I think that this is a real great way to develop that trust and that velocity that I think a lot of innovation teams really look for, to have that ability to just keep the flow going without stalling, or without trying to figure out like where were we last week kind of thing. And I think the Flow engine really strives to enable teams to achieve that creative flow, so that they can drive the innovation forward with the greater chances of delivering real impact. And here's a view of Think Better Business Mobile, and these are just some of the features that you have access to. You have access to the templates, the mindsets, and techniques, so the team members can have really fast access to the information and the aids that they'll use during the flow, so they can pop open their Think Better Business Mobile and then get some real quick advice or guidance on how to do a specific part of the innovation. And I think this is something that we've used really effectively. We haven't used Think Better Business Mobile for these particular. But what we've done is we've included those innovation mindsets and techniques that we have used at places like the AIE, and made this available within. It's basically a convenience and access application to give teams immediate access to these aids that we've created and have been used and applied, in different places for different initiatives. And here's a view into the pipeline integration. And so you can see the pipelines that this particular user is a part of. And you can dive into pipe and see the activities that are there. And as you can see, there's the idea that we were looking at earlier in the Flow engine. So they have direct access into the artifacts that are part of the flow, the design artifacts like empathy maps, persona canvas, and they can look at the different phases in the flow or different pipes. We were looking at a design thinking pipe. This is actually looking at innovation management pipe, where we see product market fit, business model design. So all the team members that have access to these pipes and these activities have immediate access to what is the latest in a particular design iteration, so they can drive that flow forward and coordinate, collaborate, and create together. And I think this is a great facility for helping teams achieve that velocity that is so much needed to meet the challenges and the pace of change that's going on right now. Especially when you think about the new way of working and how we have to have a way to bring in team members from wherever they might be, and also the talent. I think talent is a big challenge, where you need to bring in talent from anywhere in the world, really quickly, and being able to assemble an innovation team. I think having this type of mobile interface is a great way to help that along. And this is at 890. This just gives you a quick kind of view into the portal interface, where gives you a view into the machine learning catalog that you can create and manage to help you reuse those machine learning experiments to help you achieve that deep design for your product and service. So you can basically design your experiments, or you can bring in an experiment that is already there that you want to maybe tweak for your specific concept, product service concept, and be able to plug it into the flow, and then achieve something really great really quickly. And so finally we get to Fabrica, which is the prototype factory. The prototype factory, it is based on technology within Visual Studio. As you can see here, this is a visual model of a distributed or connected system, where you can basically create or wire up a connected system consisting of different lines of business systems, different types of events, publishers and subscribers, all sharing information. I'm able to have a design surface like this, where you can basically just use the canvas to create your prototype. So here I'm looking at the toolbox, and I'm just dropping in a new element onto the canvas, a new publisher, and then just creating any sorts of connectivity that I might or that the design requires for the specific product service that you're trying to create. And so one of the things that as I was mentioning, the factory, you can also specify configuration for some of the components. Like here we're looking at the database, and you can also create data elements. And here we're looking at a packet, what we call a data packet. in this particular model, and we can create new attributes, and create your model that way. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here, and then here's the template that is actually driving the generative step in getting to the artifacts that are needed for your prototype. So this is just using what's called the Team4 template engine within Visual Studio. And you can basically create any type of template that you want. As I was mentioning earlier, you can use it for code, C# code, Java code, configuration, items, anything that you think your prototype might need. You can develop these templates to drive the generation of actual source code here. As you can see here, this is actual C# code for the Service Hub elements that you saw in the model. And as you change the model, you can regenerate the code, and then you can have a new variant of your prototype just like that. So I think this is a very good example of what you can achieve. And you can think that one of the things to keep in mind is that this Fabrica, you can create really any kind of modeling language that you can dream up. So I provided some examples earlier. Like, for example, you may want to come up with a DSL language for IoT solutions, or maybe something like for AI, or chatbots, or things. So anything you can imagine, you can create a DSL for it using this particular interface here within Visual Studio, using the modeling technology, and create this sort of meta model for the language. So everything you see here is the meta model for the connected systems DSL that I just showed you. As you can see here, you've got the elements here, data packets, hubs, attributes, and be able to create that. So having the ability to really design a meta language for any type of prototype is a very powerful idea and concept. It gives you that flexibility to create that in Fabrica. And then finally, the last demo here, I just want to give you another example of another DSL. And this is more for like a traditional 3-tier system where you have different layers in a system, sort of speaking with one another to deliver some type of experience within an application, whether it be mobile or whether it be a web application. So that was just a quick view into some of the components, some of the demos that we have for the platform pieces. And I hope that gave you a really quick kind of view into the platform capabilities within Think Your Better Business to accelerate innovation, to accelerate deep design, to accelerate prototyping. And these two examples here are just some of the things that we've actually built using Think Your Better Business. These were pretty successful concepts, and we had some investment interest in some of these. And we also had, some interest from prospects within different sectors to actually leverage these concepts for their enterprise. So the results that we've been able to achieve using Think Your Better Business techniques, I think is just the beginning. With the Think Your Better Business platform, we now have a way to achieve the scalability, the velocity, and that sustainability using the great platform pieces that we provided that sort of enable the framework for the innovation of mindsets and flow that we've been applying with great success across different sectors. And so finally, speaking of that, it's important to note that Think Your Better Business can be applied across different sectors. So think about connected health or connected transportation, immersive retail, smart manufacturing. Think about the platform services that are in Think Your Better Business, the ability to have the flow engine to be able to quickly integrate innovation processes, get innovation teams together to begin innovation projects or initiatives within enterprise across these different sectors. It's there available within Think Your Better Business. The ability to connect teams together using Think Your Better Mobile, and then also the ability to have that framework for deep design using AI and machine learning from 890 by Capgemini and also our partner Symphony AI. I think we have a great platform and tool set that you can begin to kind of leverage and look at in a new way of delivering innovation using this new operating model. So I think that this is a really great introduction into thinking better business. We could probably have different full day sessions on some of these areas, and we will have more of that coming in the future. As I mentioned, there are a couple of tech talks in the future that we have planned. One for democratizing innovation using AI and machine learning, and then also we'll also be doing a deeper dive into Fabrica, the prototype factory, to really begin to understand how you start leveraging these accelerators within your innovation. I think with that, we're completed with this presentation. I think we have around 5 minutes for Q&A.
Thanks, Sergio. We have a couple of questions in the chat.
Sure. Can you, let me just go ahead and get to that. Okay, so we have a question around, does this also have to do with what they actually measure? How do you measure innovation outcomes, dollars, number of people? That's a good question. I think that's one of the challenges that I think a lot of businesses face, is how do you begin to do that? I think number one is, I think a lot of businesses don't actually do any types of measurements. So I think even asking that question is a great place to start. And I think, there's different ways to approach that type of measurement, and understanding, where exactly do you need to get the data to understand where your product concept is performing. One example is, OKRs, which is objectives and key results. That's one way to look at, measuring, product service, effectiveness. And there's other techniques to use and to drive, driving towards visualization and getting a better sense of how the innovation is performing. And I think the key thing there is to understand, how is it performing, what the opportunity to scale, and where do you need to improve or pivot to be able to, continue driving value for that particular product or service concept. Another question is, how does the concept of a software factory work together with innovation? So I think, that's a good question. So one of the things that we've seen a lot of, people struggle with is, they come up with a lot of these great ideas, but then everything stalls once, people are trying to get to something tangible and something concrete that they can look at. And I think that sort of, low fidelity prototypes are great, but they can only take you so far. Having the ability to have a software factory to give you the power of accelerating iterations in your prototyping with something, concrete and tangible that your team can actually begin to look at, I think is a great way to accelerate innovation overall, and also help you improve your chances of success and being able to have something that really delivers what the business wants. To have the ability to accelerate that prototyping, I think is a great enabler for just overall kind of boosting the innovation flow. Second, the question is, the generated code, just the API, do we still need to implement the services to legacy systems? That's a great question. Yeah, so the prototype factory does give you the ability to get a lot of the scaffolding and a lot of the boilerplate code that's involved with some of the integration. I showed you an example in that model that I showed earlier, where there was a queue resource and also a database resource. Having the factory produce that data access and also that queue, the queue persistence, that code can actually be generated. But one of the things you do is use templates to sort of blueprint that integration, and then once you blueprinted it, you can use the model to apply that blueprint to generate those pieces of code in your prototype. Yeah, so I think those were all the questions I think I saw, Deepika. And I think we're about to wrap up too. So I want to thank everyone for making it out today, and I hope you got some interesting things to think about in maybe new ways you can approach your innovation projects and how you can leverage Thinkivator Business to help you deliver, really great stuff for your customers. And feel free to reach out with any questions or anything you might need in understanding or using Thinkivator Business for pitching to customers, or also just speaking with prospects, or any other type of presentations or demos that you might need support with. Just reach out and let us know, and we'll be happy to help.
Thanks a lot, Sergio, Heinz, and Trent for taking us through this and letting us know more about how we could leverage this service. Thanks a lot all for joining.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.